In October 2021, Green revealed that this film would take place 4 years after the events of the previous film and would incorporate elements of the pandemic into the story. In an interview, Logan extinguished internet rumors that the film was supposed to take place on the same night of the previous installment. Jamie Lee Curtis claimed the film would be shocking and would make people very angry. Akan stated this film would be more contained than the previous, while Green called it an intimate coming-of-age story, much like Carpenter's Christine in David Gordon Green's 2022 film, Halloween Ends.
I've run from you. I have chased you. I have tried to contain you. I have tried to forgive you. I thought maybe you were the boogeyman. No. You're just a man who's about to stop breathing.
Let them fight.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll be back.
Death has come to your little town, June.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Chills and Thrills. Connor here along with you, as well as Chris, and today we are doing our final film in the Halloween franchise. We are diving into Halloween Ends. So I know Chris is super excited about this episode, so I will let you go first on some opening thoughts with Halloween Ends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I should save or how brutal I should be, but I think this movie's pretty terrible. I don't know what your opinion is if you're secretly like one of those like, oh no, it's actually, quite good, or I liked most of it. Like I'm not gonna mince words. I can't hide my opinion of this one. It's extremely low.
Well, and you were at home. You didn't see this one in theaters. You watched this on Peacock, right?
I did not. I was spared from having to see this thing in theaters, yes.
Okay, because I saved my money as well. I watched it on Peacock. I was super excited for it, to be honest with you. I thought the trailers and the promotion did a great job as building it up to like this final battle and conclusion between Michael and Laurie. And then I was sitting here at home with my daughter's mom and my buddy Marcel. He came over to watch it with us. And it was like 40 minutes into the film, 45 minutes into the film, and I looked at my buddy and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like what
Yeah, what is this movie? Did we click something that wasn't Halloween?
Yeah, what are we doing with this film? Where is it going? And when the movie ended, like we sat through it, and you could just tell, like the more and more the film went on, the pissier like my buddy's face got. And when the film ended, we sat and talked about it for a minute. Like, God, I'm glad we didn't waste $15 a piece on a ticket and popcorn and this and that. And like, what the hell are you doing with this film coming off of 2018 and Halloween Kills? Like, you built Michael Myers up to be this like unstoppable force and killing machine, and then this is what we get of him in this film. So it was definitely a fun and interesting conversation after we watched it at home. So
yeah, nothing hammers home, the fact that this whole endeavor was originally pitched as a 2-movie project, and then because of the success of the third one was shoehorned into being a 3-movie project. But I didn't think that it would be this obvious that they literally have 2 movies worth of ideas, and then they you want to talk about Halloween Kills being like, oh, the hospital plot and the mob with the escaped patient is filler. This whole movie, until you get to the final battle with Laurie and Michael, is filler. It's nonsense. It's all just whipping up an entire movie to exist before you get to the finale that you could have easily just tacked on to the end of the last movie.
yeah, and then the last film, Halloween Kills, built it up, especially the trailer. Like I'm like, okay, like at the end of the film, Laurie even like she states, this is in the director's cut or the unrated version, whatever one you want to say.
Edition.
Yeah, and she goes, I'm coming for you, Michael. So it builds up to this last film being this huge like battle between them two. Even once you
Yeah,
heard it was 4 years.
the original intention, from what I understand, before the lockdowns kind of threw some wrenches into things, was that it was going to be all in one night, 3 movies all in one night. But it's hard to imagine like how long is the night and how quickly are these events transpiring. Like you get 12 hours in a night for nighttime. It's like how much is going on in this night that you have 3 movies of events going, and all the driving and traveling and moving and this and whatnot. But then it's literally one of those things where it's like all you really had to do at the end of Halloween Kills, Michael is in his house again. It's literally Michael hanging out in his house and Laurie going there to dispatch him, and that's and their final battle basically occurring there. Like that's really all that needs to be done in terms of their storyline. So what is this movie even doing existing?
Well, and I was even okay with once I heard this one was 4 years later. I was like, okay, so say Michael Myers disappeared. He, whatever happened to him. Like, say Laurie's been searching for him and can't find him, and this Halloween happens to be the one where they get their final confrontation. Like I was okay with them doing that, but I wanted to see a story of like how they were gonna interact again, how they were gonna meet up, or like where they were gonna see each other again. And it threw me for a loop where this film went. So I was just like, I didn't do a lot of digging to see like what David Gordon Green's like what his
Was
thoughts
thinking he
were.
clearly wasn't thinking much.
I
And
I
it's a
just I
shame. It's a shame that this is like this locked in trilogy where they all kind of hinge upon each other. I mean, I suppose you can stop after 2018 and be like, well, that was a good follow up, and I'll just kind of leave it there. I suppose you could. I suppose you could, even if you don't watch the extended ending with the sequel hook, I suppose you could kind of even say like, oh well, maybe I just stop at Halloween Kills, and it's just like open ended. Like Michael wins and he's gotten away, and Laurie's alive, but like that still feels quite unresolved. But it's like this trilogy as a whole, like kind of blows because of the way it deteriorates over the 3 movies, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, you said something. I'm not sure if it was our last episode or maybe a couple episodes ago that like a 6 out of 10 film with a 10 out of 10 ending is, it turns into a 8 out of 10 film. So like these 3 films, like we're building up to this like climactic huge ending, and we don't really get it. So like the
No,
first 2 films, I liked them a lot, Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, and then you get this third part, or like the ending of the film per se, and it's a terrible ending. It brings the whole trilogy down.
exactly. And again, I'll draw my last conclusion here between two other sort of long distance sequel trilogies that occurred in like the same time frame as these movies, which is Star Wars 7, 8, and 9, and Jurassic World 1, 2, and 3, or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Dominion. And it's sort of this thing where it's like the initial one's out of the gate. The initial one is the biggest box office hit. It's very nostalgic. The biggest criticism is that it feels a little bit like a retread of what we've gotten before. It just feels like an updated version of the old thing, but people are into it. It feels like a nice new fresh start. So everyone's big on the first entry, and they're all the biggest box office hits. Then the second one kind of starts to go in its own unique direction, and for some people they really like it. For some people they really don't. Blowing up the island, or how they handle Luke Skywalker, or like the weird way they play with the Michael mythos and Laurie in the hospital and stuff. Like they each do these sort of things where some people are like, man, what was that garbage? And other people are like, oh, this is interesting and unique. And then they do a third chapter that feels like it makes nobody happy. And it just feels like, generally speaking, it's just kind of like a letdown for everybody. And they each progressively make less and less money. And that story is true across all 3 of these examples of trilogies. So I don't know what was up with Hollywood that decade, but it wasn't nothing good.
And I've seen people like I follow for our podcast page, I follow a couple different like Halloween fan groups. I follow the Godzilla one and stuff. I just like seeing what other people are posting about the franchise, their rankings, things like that. And I've seen people ranking this one above the original and above like the Halloween 4 and H2O and stuff. And I mean, we'll
Yeah,
get to our rankings, but
I'm
it's just like
sorry, but I don't think there is no redemption arc for this movie. There is no leg to stand on to defend this thing, and this isn't just me throwing my arms up and be like, "Oh, it's trash, it's dumb, it's whatever." It's like, no, it's like this is terrible. This is a terrible, terrible Halloween movie, and it's a terrible conclusion to this particular trilogy. It feels like a terrible conclusion if you're looking this as some kind of like grand finale tribute culmination point for the franchise as a whole in like a meta sense. It doesn't feel good in that direction. It doesn't feel like a good conclusion to this trilogy. It doesn't feel like it's honoring anything of the legacy of this franchise in any meaningful way. And it's like that's really, really, really unfortunate.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was really sour on it at first, and I guess I've softened up a little bit, but
Oh,
not
I
not to
haven't. If anything, I only get more mad every time I watch this piece of crap.
the. I mean, I'm not to the point of some other people where they're
I will
putting
not be the
it.
good cop in this good cop bad cop
Hey,
situation.
that is 100% okay because you've been the good cop on some other films, and I've been the bad cop, so we can roll reverse here.
Hmm.
But there's no way I'm gonna put this above the original or anything crazy like I've
That's
seen some other
that
people
is
doing.
hipsters looking for attention. That is all that is. That is
And,
all that
and that's what
nonsense is.
I've thought a couple of times. Some
You
clickbait to get a bunch of comments. And
exactly. Or the people that inevitably feel like they're gonna make their big YouTube video is gonna be the Halloween Ends is a masterpiece. Actually, like no, 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 no. You're just taking a stance because you know it's contrary to popular belief, and that you think you'll look like smart or cool or elitist by like taking the stance that everyone else disagrees with and then acting like you're smarter because of it. It's not good. It's not correct. I'm sorry. All opinions are valid, I guess, but it's like an a-hole. Everyone has one, but I'm sorry that's as close to an objectively bad take as possible are those that are very favorable of this movie.
well, let me give you some background here on Halloween Ends before we get into a trailer and a plot for it. Halloween Ends is a 2022 American slasher film directed by David Gordon Green and co-written by Green, Danny McBride, Paul Brad Logan, and Chris Bernier. It is the sequel to Halloween Kills from 2021 and the 13th installment in the Halloween franchise and the final film in the trilogy of sequels that started with the 2018 film, which directly follows the 1978 film. The film stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matichak, Rowan Campbell, Will Patton, Kyle Richards, and James Jude Courtney. Before the release of Halloween in 2018, McBride confirmed that he and Green had intended to pitch two films that would be shot back to back, but decided against it, waiting to see the reaction to the first film. Following the success of the first film in July 2019, the film's title was announced along with Halloween Kills. Green intended to give each film in the trilogy its own unique theme. Halloween Ends being a love story. John Carpenter described the film as a departure from its predecessors. After being delayed due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, principal photography took place in Georgia between January and March 2022, with reshoots taking place in mid-2022. Halloween Ends premiered at Beyond Fest in Los Angeles on October 11, 2022, and was theatrically released in the United States on October 14, 2022 by Universal Pictures. The film started streaming simultaneously on paid tiers of Peacock as well. It received mixed reviews from critics who criticized its focus on the new character Corey and generally deemed it a disappointing conclusion to the trilogy. This film was a financial success, but was the lowest grossing of the trilogy of films by Green and the third highest grossing film in the franchise. So there's a little background on Halloween Ends for you.
Yeah, I remember, when they did the whole we're going to zero the clock back to just the original movie. And so the big piece of lore that you lose when you do that is the Michael and Laurie are siblings thing. And sure, that might have been like an ass pull when they created it in Halloween 2, but it did become a framing benchmark of the entire franchise, which is that Michael is Laurie's brother. By extension, he's the uncle of Laurie's children, whichever version of her children she has. So it became this sort of family thing, this sort of family vendetta. He killed one sister when he was a kid. he's got this fixation to kill his other sister and even her kids and anyone connected or around that gets in his path. So like there's a hook there. When you zero it back to just the original movie, yeah, the surface level thing is like, oh, that's so freeing and unique, and you're just going back to the roots. You're not making it about what this whole franchise has been about since then. But part of what that is then it leaves the new filmmakers with their hot new modern take a blank slate by which they have to invent what their own new sort of hook and angle and framing device is going to be. And I'm sorry, but even drunk John Carpenter in a rush coming up with the brother-sister connection is better than this lame thing that they came up with to replace it. I will take bad John Carpenter's idea of them being siblings, which birthed the whole franchise, over this nonsense that we got. You know, it's like sometimes it's like, oh, we're wiping the slate clean to start fresh and get back to the roots. It's like, or you're undoing huge parts of the lore because you've got some stuck up snotty modern opinion that what you're going to come up with is going to be so much better and deeper and superior, and it ends up just being a bunch of garbage. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I don't have too much to rant about. Most of the bad things I have, or negative things I have to say about this film, I can say once we get to like our favorite categories like character, quote, and scene and things like that. So I'll go ahead and get into a trailer for the film. We'll get a plot synopsis read off, and we'll come back with some numbers, fun facts, and then get into our favorites categories.
Sounds good. Our least favorite categories?
There you go. Our least favorite categories on Halloween Ends.
It's been 4 years since Michael Myers vanished without a trace.
Hello?
I was certain that I saw him watching me.
You pretend like you moved on, but you're actually just obsessed with death.
What are you gonna do when Michael comes back for you? Because he is coming.
But this time, something feels different. He's more dangerous. He killed my daughter. But tonight, I will kill him. Come and get me. Maybe the only way he can die is if I die too. It all ends now. You came here to kill me, so do it.
On Halloween night in 2019, 21-year-old Corey Cunningham babysits a young boy named Jeremy Allen, who pulls a prank on him by locking him inside the attic. Just as Jeremy's parents come home, Corey kicks the door open and accidentally knocks Jeremy over his staircase railing to his death. Corey is arrested for aggravated manslaughter, but is cleared by the judge. Nonetheless, Corey is made a pariah by the citizens of Haddonfield, Illinois. 3 years later, Haddonfield is still reeling from the aftermath of Michael Myers' latest killing spree in 2018. While Michael has vanished, Laurie Strode is writing a memoir and living with her granddaughter Allison. Meanwhile, Corey is working at his stepfather's salvage yard. On his way home one day, he is accosted by high school bullies and injures himself in the process. An observing Laurie brings him to the doctor's office where Allison works. Allison and Corey develop a relationship and later attend a Halloween party where Corey is confronted by Mrs. Allen. Corey leaves the party and runs into the bullies who throw him off a bridge. Unconscious, he is dragged into the sewers where Michael resides and is choked by him, but Michael eventually lets him go. As he crawls out, Corey is threatened by a homeless man, and in a struggle, Corey stabs the man to death and flees. At a dinner date, Allison's ex-boyfriend harasses her, leading to Corey later luring him into the sewer to be killed by Michael. Allison is passed over for a promotion at work, in favor of a nurse who is having an affair with the doctor. Later that night, Corey kills the doctor at his home while Michael kills the nurse. An unknowing Allison plans to leave Haddonfield with an insistent Corey because of the past trauma, while Lori realizes Corey is infected by Michael's evil. Their different mindsets causes their relationship to fracture. Lori finds Corey sleeping in the spot where Jeremy died and offers to help him on the condition that he distance himself from Allison. Corey retorts by blaming her for the events that have occurred in Haddonfield and says if he cannot have Allison, no one will. Corey returns to the sewers where he successfully fights Michael for his mask and embarks on a rampage, murdering the bullies after luring them to the salvage yard, one of whom accidentally kills Corey's stepfather. He goes on to kill his mother, a DJ at a local radio station who had taunted him earlier, and presumably the radio station's assistant. At the Strode house, Lori fakes a suicide attempt to lure Corey to her, whom she shoots down the stairs. Corey then stabs himself in the neck to frame Lori for his death in front of the arriving Allison, who leaves in distress. Michael suddenly arrives, retrieves his mask, and kills Corey. A fight ensues in Lori's kitchen, with Lori managing to pin Michael to the kitchen table and slit his throat, and Allison convinced to the truth behind Corey's death after receiving a call from Deputy Frank Hawkins, returns to help Lori subdue and finally kill Michael by slicing his wrists. Lori and Allison take Michael's body to the salvage yard by police escort, attracting the residents of Haddonfield, who follow them in procession, and dispose of it in an industrial shredder. In the ensuing days, Allison and Lori reconcile, and Allison leaves Haddonfield while Lori finishes her memoir and rediscovers her romance with Hawkins. Alright, so why don't we get into some numbers here. Halloween Ends had a budget of $33 million and it grossed $105.4 million. So what is that just a couple years later here?
Yeah, that would slightly increase to a $36.4 million budget and a $116 million worldwide gross, which, when you look at that, Halloween 2018 made $259 million, then Halloween Kills dropped to $133, and then Halloween Ends dropped to $105. Like, it literally just went down and down, And funny enough, on a factor of basically 10 times that, the first Star Wars back from Disney, Episode 7, did $2 billion instead of $200 million, and then Star Wars Episode 8 did $1.3 billion instead of $133 million for Halloween Kills, and then the Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars Episode 9, did just over $1 billion, and Halloween Ends did just over $100 million. So even the scale of the decline is almost the exact same for those two trilogies. It's just dealing with billions instead of hundreds of millions.
I'd be much happier if these films made some billions.
I would not be. If Halloween Ends made $1 billion, I would lose all faith in humanity. That would be the greatest tragedy in the history of horror cinema if this movie was like $1 billion hit. That would be terrible.
Okay, well, Halloween Ends, Halloween and Halloween Kills can make in the billions, and this one can stay at $100 million. Well,
sure. This one could make $100 for all I care.
These numbers might make you a little happier. Halloween Ends is rated a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, has a 40% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 47% rating on Metacritic, and 58% of our Google users liked this film.
When Google's hitting you with the 58%, you piss some people off. Google gives like a 75 or higher to damn near everything.
Everything. Even the worst Godzilla films, they're up there in the high 60s or 70s.
Yeah, when Google's got you at a failing grade that you've missed the mark with the audience.
So 2 out of the last 3 numbers I have for you are good. And Michael Myers is on screen for just over 11 minutes, or about 10% of the film. and there are
Yeah, and
18
and
then
it's funny because they crush that into like the last 30 minutes of the movie too.
they do, because Michael Myers doesn't appear until 38 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, that's wild. The movie is 111 minutes long with the ending credits, and Michael Myers is appearing basically 40 minutes in. That's something.
And then my last number for you here is the other good one, which there are 18 deaths in the film, averaging to one every 6.16 minutes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Even without Michael, I will give this film credit for having some creative and some good deaths. So
Sure.
sure, Chris is sour all around.
Yeah, I apologize, but I'm a
we
salty
have
bitch when it comes to this movie.
the imposter Myers is not doing it for him.
The whole movie ain't doing it for me, buddy.
All right, well, let me give you some fun facts here. The first one for you is, despite the mixed reception, the film ranked number 2 on the Hollywood Reporter's list of the best slasher movies of the decade.
What? Of what decade? The 2020s? Like,
I am guessing the 2020s so far.
that's 2 years, and even then, like, if there's any list of best slasher movies of any decade, this one shouldn't be on it. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's the only slasher movie that came out this decade. It shouldn't be on any
Anywhere.
list. Yeah, it shouldn't be there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
This thing's
started
way
off
more.
with a
This thing's way more of like this weirdly psychological thing. Anyways, it's not. You could even argue the merits of how much of a slasher movie is it.
I started you off with a sour one there. I
That's okay.
apologize.
Oh, I'll be sour the whole episode here.
My next one for you here is, in the beginning of the film, the movie that Corey and Jeremy are watching is John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, a clear reference to the original, where Laurie and Tommy were watching the original The Thing from Another World from 1951, and also a reference to Carpenter, who directed both the original Halloween as well as The Thing from 1982.
Yeah, a nice bit of like meta humor where it's like within the world of Halloween, which is a movie directed by John Carpenter, you have The Thing from Another World, but then also within that same world, you apparently have a filmmaker named John Carpenter who remade The Thing from the Other World as The Thing. So it's always weird when movies do stuff like that, because for me, like, movies that reference other movies as movies feels like it does this weird like reality breaking thing. Like, I would have much rather preferred to, like, for me, I think it's better when these movies make references to each other as if they're real events within the same universe. Like, you make a reference to some massacre in Antarctica or whatever, and it's like, oh, that would be like a fun nod to like, oh, the events of The Thing happened in this movie. Like, the minute you're just like, like they watch Evil Dead on TV and A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's like, oh, it's like, so the Evil Dead's just a movie. It's not like its own, So I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of like watching other movies in movies. I think that's one of the weirdest ways to do a reference, but it's fine. It's a it's a nice little in joke for the people that are looking for it.
Yeah, and I was happy to see John Carpenter's The Thing. That's one of my favorite horror movies.
Just
So like when I seen it
reminded me
on,
how I could be watching a better movie right now.
I feel like that's how probably about 70% of the crowd seeing this for the first time was thinking.
Uh-huh.
So Halloween Ends uses the blue font used in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch from 1982 for its opening credits. Halloween Ends was released 40 years after Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. So I did catch that they used the same font.
They were like, that's the worst film in the series, so we've gotta pay tribute to that. That's what we want to be modeling after. The last movie that everyone hated in this series, because we're gonna make a new movie, a new Halloween 3 that everyone hates in this series.
And they did that with every film that in this trilogy. They went back and tried to mock the same font of Halloween 2 and then the original Halloween 3.
Yeah, it's I guess,
So what trilogy do you like more? That 3 is a trilogy, or these 3 is a trilogy?
Oh, that's not a debate. I will watch Halloween 1, 2, and 3 a million times before I watch 2018 Kills and Ends.
I just figured I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, that might not, as much as I can hate on Halloween 3, I would watch those 3 movies over these 3 movies any day of the week.
All right. So my next one for you here is after the opening titles, during Laurie's voiceover, a newspaper clipping can be seen with a headline stating that the Myers home was demolished following the events of Halloween Kills in 2021. So I didn't catch that until it was like my third viewing of this film. So I liked how it kind of explained why Michael was kind of hiding away in like the sewer area instead of
Yeah.
being
Well, and I mean, it's not like if the house was still standing that Michael would have somehow gotten away with like staying in that house for
right.
years. You know, it's like he wouldn't be hanging out in there. But also, like, it's one of those things where it's like the final showdown between Laurie and Michael should maybe happen in the Myers house. That's where Michael committed his first kill of his sister. And yes, Laurie's not his sister in this version of the franchise, but I think it would have been fitting if that's where Michael or his final victim potentially met their end in this film. But, to hell with like, narrative loops and closing circles and things like that. To hell with all that. It's just demolished between movies.
Yeah, and I'm man, there's so much more that could have been done with this movie when
Yeah.
it comes to the final showdown because we're it's almost guaranteed we're never gonna get Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode again, and this is the film that she had to end on.
Here's the sad thing. I would have preferred like this trilogy if you were to say like at net overall the three movies. You either got to keep all three movies or leave all three movies. I would have preferred this trilogy didn't happen. I would have rather been like, hey, she got her Halloween H2O. She got her less ceremonious Halloween Resurrection. Like, if this trilogy is the package deal to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back, I'd rather not have it. That's my opinion. That might be extreme, but that's my opinion.
I did not expect that coming from you. I mean, I wasn't sure how mean you would be to this film, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If it's it now, if you were to say, "Oh, you could keep Halloween or Halloween Kills as like a one-off," that's a different conversation. But if it's like keep all three or lose all three, throw these three out the window, dude. I'm sorry. I'm extreme. I'm gonna just sound like I'm just like a pissy hater all episode. But dude, that's my take on it. It's a
hey,
strong take, but that's my take
that
on
is
it.
100% okay. Voice that opinion because
Yeah, yeah.
I like it because I like I
Ooh,
said
nice
I've
guy.
seen other people that are very high on this and they defend it to a T
And I will not all I'm not one of those that's like the hate's too extreme. The hate's 100% justified for this movie.
it's
There have
deserved.
not been enough unkind things said about this movie.
All right, I got a couple more for you here in fun facts. The movie ends on a series of shots of empty rooms in Laurie's house, similar to how a Halloween 1978 ends. So I do like all the little winks and
Yes,
nods we
yeah,
get.
that's good. Yeah, there. It is not like this is an objectively terribly made movie from a technical perspective. It's just a god awful script with some god awful narrative choices. But in terms of the technique, the filming, the effects, the kills, this and that, all that stuff's perfectly fine. It's all the other things that you need to be good that failed to deliver.
Well, here's another thing that failed to deliver perfectly for you. As this is the lowest kill count from Michael Myers in any Halloween film, with just 3, with him killing Officer Doug, Nurse Deb, and Corey.
Yeah, because a genius subversive idea, the final chapter of Michael Myers, saga, and we're gonna have another killer in the movie. We're gonna make it as little about Michael as possible for the final film in this saga about Michael Myers. Like, okay, yeah, genius idea. See how that worked out for you.
Well, my second half of that one is the majority of the kills are from Corey Cunningham, and the previous record holder for the lowest amount of kills was the original Halloween from 1978, with 5 kills and then 1 dog, so 6 total.
Yeah, like it's like in the writing room they were pitching this thing of like, oh, you know, a narrative option is like, oh, someone replaces Michael. Oh, it would be genius if we trick everyone into thinking Michael's going to have a replacement, but then we subvert that and kill that replacement, and then it ends up we kill Michael too. It's like, first of all, the whole idea of like, oh, we're going to build in a replacement for Michael, that's kind of inherently stupid too. Like, if this had been a Michael dies and Corey is the new psycho killer in his place kind of a thing, like now Corey's going to be around for 30 years killing people, that wouldn't have been very good either. That's not some great genius idea in and of itself. And I don't think that's a lot of thing that people would have bet money on happening or wanted to see. So then being like, oh, we're going to set that up, but then we're going to zag and Corey's going to be a nothing character that gets killed. And then it's going to be Michael. It's like, that's not like some like, oh, double subversion. These guys are so smart. They're writing so great. I never would have expected it. It's like, no, it's not impressive. It's like you took an idea that would have been pretty dumb anyway of replacing Michael and then just zigzagged it to where it doesn't happen. So then it feels like the whole like setup for it was complete nonsense. Like if you're going to devote this much of a movie to trying to set up the fake replacement only to not do it, then why the hell did you do it to begin with anyway? You know, you're not nearly as smart as you think you are, buddy. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, you try to put this sympathy and everything on Corey, and then like you try to get everybody to feel sorry for him, and you you completely twist it, and then he ends up losing his mind and killing people anyway. So it's like, are we rooting for him? Are we rooting against him?
Yeah,
Like
it was very much like the film wasn't sure, again, I'm sure they would be like, oh, we wanted people to feel conflicted or whatever, just like they don't overtly show if he pushed that kid or if it was an accident. Like they show him kicking the door and the door knocks the kid, but then there's like with the editing, there's kind of a gap, so it's like I thought that they were maybe going to be building up to like some potential reveal, and maybe they were intentionally trying to be ambiguous of like, did he do it? Did he not do it? Was it a genuine accident? Or did it cut away and we actually see that he did throw that kid over in anger? You know, that kind of a thing. But when you play that ambiguously, then you don't know as a viewer how you really feel about Corey. Because if they reveal in the third act that he actually killed that kid in malice intentionally, or it was a genuine accident, then that changes your entire opinion on him. And it's like, that's not even really done as like a twist. Like they just like drive him into being a murderer. But it's like, if you had seen definitively that it was an accident or definitively that he killed the kid, then you've got a whole different air of energy around it, and you at least like have a take. Like, because the whole time it feels like you're waiting to have a real opinion of him. Like, is he secretly a psycho? Did he kill that kid, or was it a total accident? And should I be sympathetic for him? And you're not meant to know. So then you're lukewarm on this character, and then you have this weird emo romance edgelord thing that goes on for like half the movie uh oh god, Allison's character, and it's like, what? Like it doesn't, like their romance and everything doesn't feel very believable. Like it just feels like it just happens to happen, like talking about we're gonna burn the town down or whatever the hell they're doing. It's like, oh my gosh, like get out of here. Like this is the final chapter of the Halloween saga that you're doing here. Like get out of here.
yeah, and that was my thought, is like this is the last Halloween film we're gonna get for who knows how long, and this is what they brought us. This is what they filmed. Like what?
We Yeah, we get edgy, emo, dark romance. Someone who's not Michael being the killer. Michael coming in at the last second just to have a final showdown where he gets killed. Like this is the grand conclusion of what you were building.
It almost makes me think of like a Jason Goes to Hell comparison. Like they were trying to bring Michael back at the end to get like a cheer from the crowd or something. Like I don't
Yeah,
I
and
don't
it's
know
like we
what they
should
were
have been
thinking.
having that the whole movie, you know? Like I don't care if we had two other Halloween movies before this one. This movie needs to deliver in and of itself, you know?
Exactly. You don't after making two movies of Michael Myers, like being this unstoppable killer, and Laurie talking about, the more he kills, the more he transcends into like an unstoppable force and things like that. And then we get this one where he's getting beat up by a 20-year-old kid and getting his mask stolen. Like
Yeah,
there's problems with this.
yeah, that's the thing. You're sort of like you're doing this whole like, oh, Michael is like weak and whatever, and like he even gets his mask stolen, and then it's like, well, at that point it's like, well, yeah, of course Laurie's gonna be able to take this dude out at the end of the movie. Like there's no tension. Like if this fucking kid can punk Michael, then I don't care what happens, Michael's not gonna be able to take Laurie out at the end. You know, it's just that kind of a thing.
Yeah, this film has some problems, and I mean, we'll continue talking about them here.
Emphasis on some. It has a myriad.
A lot of problems.
Yeah, we don't want to do, if we did the fan commentary on this movie, it would be relentless.
I got two more fun facts for you here, and then we'll get on to our favorites category and see what we have there. But my first one for you is Jamie Lee Curtis mentioned that this will be her last time playing Laurie Strode after appearing in Halloween from 1978, Halloween 2 from 81, Halloween H2O from 98, Halloween Resurrection from 2002, and then this trilogy starting with Halloween in 2018, Halloween Kills in 2021, and then Halloween Ends in 2022. So like I said a little bit earlier, it just sucks that this is the movie that she has to go out on when we could have got a film that portrayed her and Michael just like duking it out through like the
Yeah.
entire final third
Yeah,
act of a
yeah,
film.
it could have even been some lean, mean 80-minute thing where 40 minutes of it is just this elaborate cat and mouse thing in the woods and houses and buildings of whatnot with Laurie and Michael. Like you could have just like take the third act of Halloween H2O and just like turn that into like the last 50 minutes of a movie after like a quick little 30-minute setup. Like you could have done that and it still would have been more satisfying than whatever this big swing and miss was, you know? And it is a shame. Like as far as I'm concerned, Jamie Lee Curtis's real final appearance was Halloween H2O. Like it's like that was, more and more, especially if you're going to ask me like, hey, what's the better sort of epilogue to the original story? Is it H2O or is it this trilogy? And it's like, dude, it's H2O 100%, and it's not up for debate.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you add Resurrection in there, or do you leave the cliffhanger with her cutting
No,
Michael's head off?
no. In my opinion, that's not a cliffhanger. In my opinion, that's a very definitive conclusion. And yeah, if you think that Resurrection is like nostalgic or fun or with the Busta Rhymes and the internet stuff, like sure, by all means, like yeah, you can include that. But you know what? You can easily just lop it off and like 1, 2, and H2O are a better trilogy than one, and these three movies are a quadrilogy or whatever you want to talk to. Like that at least feels like something big and like it actually feels like a proper sort of story being concluded. I don't know.
Oh, hands down, I would give you that Halloween 1, 2, and H2O are a better trilogy than these would be. Even if you just ended with the original Halloween 2018 and then Kills, I mean that trilogy right there is far superior than these that we have.
Yep, agreed.
So my last one for you here, and this will explain how viewers felt about this film from the box office. So Halloween Ends dropped 80% in its second weekend at the box office, being the second biggest drop off for any sequel ever after Return to the Blue Lagoon from 1991 dropped 80.8%.
Yeah, and this one was how much? 80 even?
80 even, yes.
That's that's pretty That's pretty dramatic. That's pretty dramatic. I'd like to look up a quick statistic really quick though, because I'm curious about another sequel. Now you're specifying horror sequel or sequel in general.
I believe that is sequel ever.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's very much correct. I looked up a certain movie, but it was a 78% decline. I was like, damn, so even that wasn't as much as Halloween Ends. Yeah, I mean, that
What
says
was
something.
that one?
It was The Marvels.
Oh,
A
okay.
few years ago, the sequel to Captain Marvel. Yeah, it was 78% second weekend drop for that one. Like, okay, like it's like yeah, it's like that tells you right there how many people saw this again, how many people were saying, oh, you got to check it out, and this is supposed to be your big final epic chapter, and these three movies each made less than the last one, and it's like usually you get a bump for a title like in a vacuum. If anyone ever pitched to you a title of a movie called Halloween Ends, you would think that title alone would put butts in seats to a degree that would be one of the stronger entries in the franchise at the box office. And this is not. Like, yes, because of inflation and modern theatrical release and whatnot, yes, it made a lot more raw dollars than a lot of these other movies and things like that. But you compare it to these three contemporaries, Halloween, Halloween Kills, and this one, the fact that it was the weakest of all three of them says a lot.
Well, that's what I was thinking is like I said, the marketing and like everything for this film was phenomenal because the entire trailer it's building up to this huge epic conclusion between Michael and Laurie, and we get a 2.5 minute fight in the kitchen where she kind of manhandles him.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
is not okay with me. I was expecting
Yeah.
something completely different.
Yeah, and kind of, and while we're on this sort of nebulous note, I would also say that I don't think I mentioned it in either of the last two movies, but like Danielle Harris absolutely should have been brought back to play Laurie's daughter in these movies. Like I don't understand why that was up for debate or never happened, and they should, and she should have been named Jamie. Like why not honor the franchise in that way? Like it would have even been really cool if Laurie, even if the character wasn't major, like Laurie should have had a son and a daughter, and the son should have been named John, and the daughter should have been named Jamie, and like it should have all been kind of like more or less organically incorporated. Like, yes, this is a different continuity, but like Lori still has her kids and like they're still the same kind of people, so to speak. You know, I'm sure you don't bring Josh Hartnett back to play her son, but I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, and like, yeah, Danielle Harris absolutely should have played Lori's daughter in these movies. But you know, that's just me, whatever. But yeah, also it should have been, yeah, you needed a bigger climax, you needed a bigger throwdown, not some kitchen knife fight. And you know, I think a debate could be made like that they should have taken each other out in the process. Like they go out, like they die together, so to speak. You know, that would have been kind of like you didn't need to happen. It's okay with Lori living. That's perfectly fine. But, you know, it also would have been kind of like a full circle, kind of like memorable thematic moment if they like killed each other in the process, you know?
Absolutely, like, you know, they stab each other or something, they go through this brutal fight, and Lori, you know, you can still have the townsfolk put Michael's body into what is it?
What is it? The compactor, the trash compactor, or the it's not a meat grinder, but it's essentially that. It's, oh gosh, I don't know exactly the word for it. An industrial shredder. There we go.
Yeah, the trash shredder, the industrial
Mhm.
shredder, like, you coulda had the townsfolk do that, and Lori could have passed away on the way to the hospital or something, you know, she didn't
Yeah,
make
like the
it.
last thing she sees is making sure that Michael's completely shredded, you know, and then she passes away there, like bleeding out, you know, like they try to take her to the hospital. She's like, no, I've got to see it. And like that costs her life. Like, even as I'm saying that now, it's like, man, that sounds like kind of more impactful than what we got in the movie, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we need to, write our own Halloween re-ends. No.
No, 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 no. That would be, you know, it would say just watch Halloween H2O.
I'll give you that. So that is all I have for fun facts. If you want to go into a favorite character, if you had one.
I promise I'm not doing this for every category of this movie, but I had no favorite character in this movie. I'm not gonna do this for every category. I'm not being like a shithead or anything like that. But for favorite character, I'm like, dude, who do you pick? Lori by default, Allison by default, I guess. You know, you're gonna be an edge lord and say Corey's your favorite character. He was right the whole time. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, there's not a whole lot to enjoy in this movie. Like I would have loved for Hawkins to have maybe had a larger role and to play something a little bit more vital in this film, but no, it doesn't really happen. I would have loved for Laurie to actually have a more vital role in this movie, and it doesn't really happen, you know. And Allison is over here, you know, gushing over a freaking a completely like emo psycho kid. Like, okay, like it's just a whole, it's a mess, you know.
All right, well, I'll let you take score off then, and I'll give you my character because I did end up choosing the emo psycho kid, but let me explain. I chose Corey because he is like he he does have kind of like a sad story behind him. Like he had the what was made in the film to be an accident where he accidentally killed the kid, and so the townspeople, for some reason, everyone in the town is looking at him as this terrible person. Like even like high school kids and stuff, like they know who he is, and that they tease him, they pick on him, and his mom is mean and disrespectful to him, and like so it's like he does have like a tragic story, and he's trying to be this person and just live his life. He knows what happened was like a tragedy with the kid, and like the mom ends up seeing him at the bar and like ripping him a new ass and like being rude to him. And even like later on we hear the dad talking and saying like, you know, I seen him one day and offered him a ride, and like I looked in his eyes and it just wasn't the same kid. And so like he is kind of like our tragic character. And I did like the actor who played him. I thought he played it really well. So I ended up choosing Corey because he was our tragic character, and he ended up going down the wrong path, but he went down that path because everybody was a dick to him. And I mean, he didn't have to go down the path that he did, but people also didn't have to treat him that way. So he was kind of my most interesting character of the film.
Yeah, he certainly had a bit of an interesting template to work with. I just think it was kind of mismanaged a lot, Like I feel like they were trying to do this whole like feels like a lot of modern Hollywood movies are trying to do this whole like the incel weirdo character is going to either sort of like idolize a horrible person or become a horrible person, and it's just about making sure that they that that they get like murdered and killed and made to look as like pathetic as possible by the end of the movie. I don't know. Like you look at like the Riddler in the recent The Batman movie, and it's like he's like this weird online dude with glasses. It's a creeper, and it's like he totally misunderstands what he was doing, and he's like this pathetic kind of like has this pathetic kind of crash out near the end of the movie, and it's like, and you look at Corey and the way it kind of pans out, and like, oh, he's going to be the new Michael, but then he's like absolutely not the new Michael, and it's like it's just like it's like Hollywood's feeding the same kind of weird things in every movie, and it's I don't know, it gets tedious.
It does, and like I said, I Lori, I feel like she wasn't really in it enough for me. Allison's character, she was, even with her trying to help Corey, she was kind of plain. She was the love interest for our main character, but and then there's not a lot. We don't, like you said, we don't get a lot from Hawkins. We don't get really any other characters brought back. We get Kyle Richards' character in Lindsay, but she's in it for a whole like minute and a half at the bar.
Yeah, you should have just had her get killed. What does she provide?
Yeah,
and it feels like the more natural thing would have been like yes, like Corey commits murder and whatnot, so it's not like he can have a redemption, but it's like maybe you have him somehow involved in the climax where Michael dies as some semblance of like saving his soul a little bit. He can still get locked up and put in the insane asylum at the end or whatever, but it's like maybe that's like more of an interesting arc to go on, that like he's a innocent victim, then he becomes kind of a psycho and the would-be next Michael, but then he helps ending Michael, as like his last act that he can kind of do. Like even if he dies in the process of doing that, like he still does something to try and make, like, but that's an interesting character arc as opposed to like, oh no, he's going to be this like guy who accidentally killed a kid and everyone hates him for it, and then he's going to become a psycho, and then it's just going to be that he's not good enough to be the replacement psycho, so he's just going to like have this crash out and kill himself and whatnot, and then Michael's going to finish him off. It's like, okay, fine, I guess.
Well, I did want to mention I almost chose Ronald, which I don't know if that was that Corey's dad or Corey's stepdad, mom's boyfriend.
Yeah, it was a little unclear. I'd have to pay too much attention to this movie than I would care to figure that one out.
Well, since there wasn't a lot to like pick, I almost went with him just because he was pretty much like the only one besides Allison who treated Corey nicely. I mean, he gave him the motorcycle to help him get to work on time and things like that. He told him a little later in the movie, like, I hope you find love. So like he had Corey's back, and like he was just one of like the more like tame characters and one of the only characters who didn't treat him like shit. So like it was almost a like a deep pull to pick him as my favorite character.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
So I'll let you go ahead and hit me with what your favorite score or soundtrack from the film.
Yeah, so I mean, not a very inventive choice, but I went with the main title. It was nice to get one last cool, great main title from the movie. I thought we were being set up for something, really special and cool and unique at that point, and the main title for a Halloween movie always gets the juices flowing, and unfortunately, it was kind of all downhill after that. But it's a good main title. John Carpenter has not done a bad job with any of these scores he's helped deliver. None of this is his fault,
No, not at all. And I mean, I had two that I wanted to mention quick, and one was called The Fight, and that ensued the ending fight scene between Laurie and Michael, and that was just an awesome score because it encompasses the what we came to see in the movie. I mean, the final fight between Laurie and Michael, and it, of course, like you said, John Carpenter just kills it with the three soundtracks and scores for these films. And the other one was Kill the Cop, when we get Michael's first kill in the film, where we hear that the Halloween theme, and it seems that Michael is like kind of gaining some power back from the kill. Like those were the two soundtracks that stood out to me.
Indeed. Yeah, John Carpenter delivered great work.
So I'll give you my favorite quote, and I'll let you go for scene. And my favorite quote came from Laurie Strode, where she goes, "You know, there are two kinds of evil. There's the evil that exists as an external force that threatens the well-being of the tribe. Survival depends on understanding and awareness, and fear of physical threat to our daily lives. The other kind of evil lives inside of us, like a sickness or an infection. It's more dangerous because we may not know we're infected." And I liked that because it kind of gives an explanation to Corey, like he almost to saying like he might have had the infection in him the whole time, but the way he was treated and like the things that happened in his daily life brought that infection out to turn him into the killer that he became. So it's kind of, it may be me looking too deep into this, but I liked that quote a lot.
No, it's not bad at all. And my one for this one is a much more simple and to the point exchange near the end of the movie where a police officer says, you know, they're going to dispatch of Michael's corpse, and a police officer says, "This is not how it works." And Sheriff Barker replies with, "It is tonight." And it's like, you know, that's a good moment. You know, it's like, no, we're not burying his body. We're not taking it to the morgue. Like, this mofo is getting shredded, you know, like there's not going to be anything left. You know, it's like, I dig it. I like that.
I absolutely did like that. It's kind of like it kind of gives you like a chills moment. Like this is the end. Like this, we're not playing games anymore. Like you said, like this is going to be the end of it, and we're all going
Yeah,
to see to it.
and another honorable mention. I don't have it exactly, but there, Lori or someone says something like he's dead, or Hawkins might even say it, and then I think it's Allison who says not dead enough, something like that. You know, so it's like, yeah, it's like that. That's exactly what you want in one of these movies. Like, there's always a body, and if there's always a body, even a partially, you know, head blown away body or an incinerated body, if there's a body, somehow it can just heal and come back. Like, putting it in the shredder like that you know, that took some guts to give Michael an end like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only other quote that I wanted to mention was one I already mentioned, where Ronald tells Corey that I hope you find love. I thought that was a nice little touching moment for a horror movie.
Yeah, you're the sentimental type.
So hey, what do you want from me? Just a big teddy bear over here.
You're over here like you're going as Corey for Halloween this year.
I might, you know.
Get the glasses and the.
I'm gonna need somebody to dress up as Michael so they can put me out of my misery.
So that you can win a very uncompelling fight with them and get their mask.
Steal his mask, yeah. So what did you have a favorite scene in Halloween Ends besides
Yeah,
the ending?
it's Laurie versus Michael for sure. It's Laurie versus Michael, and and yeah, I'll leave it at that. Then when what you wait for an hour and a half to get to, it's nice to finally get that moment. So yeah, that's my best scene in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that was my
Although it hardly compares to what the emo night ride vibes on the motorcycle with Corey and Allison, like I mean that's just peak cinema. So I mean it was so hard to pick between that and Laurie fighting Michael, but I think Laurie fighting Michael wins.
this is a little off topic, but I seen a comment to somebody talked about like how Michael and Corey, how they kind of do killings together, like at the doctor's house and things like that. And it's like they said something like, imagine this, imagine a scene where Corey is riding the motorcycle and Michael is behind him gripping in Allison's spot, driving to their next kill.
Michael holding on to Corey as they ride into the night. Yeah, a sort of slow romantic piano version of the Halloween theme.
Yeah, they're riding to their next
like a
next
nice
kill.
like 80s synthesizer slow version reverbed.
I read that
Killing people in slow motion.
I read that comment and all I could think about is like that might be how they got to the doctor's house and killed him. Like
Gosh. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like, what's the alternative? Corey's like, hey, I'm going to this address. Like, I'm gonna take my bike there, but like I'll see you in a couple hours. It's like the minute you have two people coordinating murders or seemingly coordinating murders, it's like, or they walked on foot together, like the minute it becomes a two-man job, like, because one person can just travel on any timeline. They clear, they're walking, they're whatever. But it's like the minute it's like two people like working together, it's like, so what? They planned this? Did they talk it out? Did they just go? Did he follow Michael? Did Michael follow him? Like, they just walking in silence for hours. Like it just becomes kind of preposterous and goofy to think about that.
yeah, I almost forgot about that until you mentioned him and Allison riding on the motorcycle. So I had to
I'm
bring
thinking of
that
the
up.
exact like shot, the exact like shot from the front of like Allison like holding him and like putting her head on his shoulder and him just driving like, but it's Michael instead.
Who's wearing the mask? No.
Oh, Michael's wearing the mask. Michael's wearing the mask in that scene. If you're riding bitch, you're wearing the mask. Corey's got to see the road.
So I'll give you my favorite scene because the Laurie and Michael fight was my runner up. And so my favorite scene was when Michael kills the cop, and it's because we waited. I believe that first kill, or where that scene where Michael kills him, is like 50 or 52 minutes into the film. So when that was happening, it was like, all right, this is what we came to see. And as he's killing him, you see Michael kind of like twitching and like looking like he's like getting some strength back, like Laurie said in the last film. The more he kills, the more he transcends. So it's like his first kill after a couple years, and he's getting some strength back into his body. And for a second there, it got me like, all right, like maybe Michael's back. Like this, it was all a setup to now we're gonna have Michael back through the rest of the film. And they played me like a fiddle. So that,
Yeah.
But that was my favorite scene.
Yep. It's weird to kind of visualize he gets stronger when he kills. It's weird to kind of show it. And that's where I kind of talk about like, when you kind of like wipe away the existing lore to do your own thing, the modern version of do your own thing can sometimes just come off as like a little weird or hokey or whatever, like it's hard to imagine 1978 Michael Myers like getting the power tingles every time he kills someone, it's like, okay, fine,
You're killing my favorite scene here.
I'm not trying to be mean about it.
Come on, just let me have it. No.
You can have it. You can have it. This movie's a masterpiece, actually. I was misinterpreting it the whole time. It's
See,
actually secretly brilliant. It's actually the best of the franchise. It's better than the original.
See, now these are things that Chris told me off mic.
Oh yes, this is all a performance. I assure the audience, my hate for Halloween Ends is 100% genuine. It's the most realist thing about me.
So what was your favorite kill or death scene in Halloween Ends?
Kill slash death. I mean, I'm sorry, but like for me, and this might be boring, but Michael being thrown into the shredder, like that is like punctuation to end all punctuation. I know it's not a death; he's dead before he gets there, but that's like again, I almost played my hand earlier talking about it, but it's like you're gonna send Michael out. That's a hell of a way to do it, and they kind of show it in its full glory. Like, bravo to that.
Yeah, and it was done very well, special effects wise. It looked good, I will say.
Hmm. Agreed.
My favorite death, and I chose DJ Willie the Kid. I just like how, I mean, I know it's Corey doing the killing, but I like how he kind of like smashes his face into the records a couple times, and then he takes scissors and cuts off his tongue, and you see his tongue kind of rolling around the record. And I thought it was a fun kill how they did it in the radio station and in like the recording studio while he's on live and things like that. So I thought that was a fun kill and the kind of a it clearly, like I said, it wasn't Michael killing, so it was a different type of kill for another character. So I thought that one was fun.
Agreed. That's good. Good choice.
So that is all I have on our favorites category for Halloween Ends. So I know we've been doing a Friday the 13th comparison, and on one of our recent episodes, I said that Friday the 13th was up 7-5, and when in reality I had Halloween and Friday the 13th tied at 6-6. So that was my mistake. And so Chris, what are we doing for this one? Are we just giving this one to Friday the 13th?
Yeah, like the gag here is that you could compare Halloween Ends to any Friday the 13th, even Friday the 13th Part 5, which I loathe, and it beats Halloween. This is a freebie for Friday the 13th. Any Friday the 13th movie that they make next to have a 13th entry will by default be better than Halloween Ends by merely existing.
All right, so we're giving away a free one, and for me then Friday the 13th would win 7-6 in the battle of the franchises.
Yeah, I've got Halloween winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-7 for Friday the 13th winning, and so that would make it 8-5 for Friday the 13th. If we're just going to count this one as another L, you know.
All right, well,
Unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
I mean, two great franchises. I mean, I love them both, and like I said, I've always liked Michael better as a slasher or a horror villain, but I enjoy the Friday the 13th series more as an entirety. And clearly, I was split 50-50. I was 6-6, so maybe that statement isn't true. So, but
Yeah.
I do think I rewatched the Friday the 13th a little more. So
Well,
why
it
don't we
would be
go?
interesting too, because sometimes just because we were kind of doing this unique 1-to-1 thing, so it would be interesting. I'm not suggesting we do it, but it would be interesting to kind of like if you were to lay out all entries from both and then ranking them just worst to best across all, where they would fall. Because, for example, like Halloween is better than Friday the 13th, but the original Halloween is also probably across the whole two entire franchises. I think the original Halloween is the best movie of all of them. So that's your number one spot going to Halloween. So it would be interesting to see. It's like, well, there might be more Friday the 13th movies that are better than their correlating Halloween movies, but the very best of the Halloween movies might be better than a lot of Friday the 13th movies, maybe.
Well, I thought about doing this once we get to the other kind of huge franchise. Once we get to that
Oh, I'm
on
not
the
doing some
cast.
30 or 40 film ranking. I'm not doing that.
No, we could compare the first Halloween and the first Friday the 13th to like the first Nightmare on Elm Street and see where we go there.
Okay, fair enough. That's an easy Halloween W. I'm sorry.
So and then Friday the 13th 2 for you would probably win the battle of the twos.
Yeah, I think so. What compared to what Freddy's Revenge? Yeah, sorry. Like we can settle this debate right here. But I do love me some Nightmare on Elm Street 3 though. and I think I would pick Nightmare 3 over Friday 3. I love Nightmare 3.
All right, all right.
So
Well,
it would be a fun debate to be had. Like after that, you kind of start to get into different kind of conversations. And once you get to like 5, 6, 7 of each of these franchises, you start to get into some lower tier movies. So it becomes a little bit more of a different kind of interesting debate. But you know,
well, before we get out of here or get too far off topic, why don't we go ahead and I don't even know if we need to go into some final thoughts, but we're gonna, and then I will get to talking about what we are getting into on our next episode. So if you would like
yeah,
to lead some final thoughts.
yeah, I think Halloween Ends is largely just like this giant missed opportunity. I don't know what they were thinking. Very little of what they go for works for me. Maybe it works for some people, like the kills and the aesthetics and things like that, the score, all that stuff is good or fine or even great, but it just seems it's one of those things where it's like the very sort of nugget of the idea out of the gate, which is like we're going to do a romance movie. We're going to have this sort of like other storyline that's like usurping the Michael storyline in what is meant to be the final Michael chapter. And it's like, it's like, did they like, were you hammering home like, oh, Michael can't be replaced kind of a thing? And there's only one of him, but we got to kill him too because it's the end. And it's like, okay, like, it just feels very much like one of these, like, again, it just feels very much like the new modern writer is coming onto the long established IP and they feel like they have to do something sort of big above and beyond and definitive beyond everyone else prior to try and like put their stamp on it as like a legacy thing for them. Like we're gonna show that Michael's irreplaceable and we're gonna freaking kill Michael and we're gonna call it Halloween Ends and it's gonna be as definitive as it can be. But it's like, but then you spend like all this time of the movie just doing this like nonsense edge lord romance. Someone else isn't killing is doing the killing and not Michael, and Michael's weak, but he's strong for the final battle just so you can have Laurie kill him. Again, it's like everything they calculated in for me was a miscalculation. Maybe there's someone out there that's like this is their dream Halloween movie and it's as perfect as they could ever hope it could be, but certainly not for me. And that's all I can say.
Yeah, I agree with the missed opportunity, and I mean, if this film would have delivered what the trailers promised and the hype that the trailers gave, like at least me when I seen the trailer, then I think this would have been it might have been ranked in like the upper half of the Halloween franchise for me because we would have got Michael and Laurie battling it out for one last time in one last film, and Laurie Strode would have went out on a high note. You still could have killed Michael at the end, how they did, and like we talked about earlier, Laurie could have succumbed to her wounds later on in the film with after watching Michael's body get shredded, and it's just a huge missed opportunity. And like it's one of these things you wish you could see an interview with like David Gordon Green on like why he chose to go this way or have something from him because you could have went a completely different route. But Halloween Ends is what we got, and I don't. At least Chris and I, we are not happy with the conclusion of this trilogy. And to what I thought was two really good films to start this trilogy, to end with this is just disappointing and leaves like a sour taste in your mouth because you don't know when you're gonna get Michael Myers back on the big screen and another Halloween film.
Yeah, and it's and you know, and in the next iteration, it's like, are we gonna, it's, it is just kind of like you could. I don't have anything to add, because the next iteration is probably going to be some kind of other reboot. They're not gonna. You can't keep sequelizing off of the original movie. At some point, you've got to do some kind of like. I mean, in some ways, they already sort of crossed the bridge or burned the bridge of the you can't remake Halloween thing in 2007. They did do a remake. They did do a reboot. So even if they were to do it again, it's not like this like you're suggesting to remake Jaws 50 years later. It's like, well, hell, they are the Halloween remake itself is almost 20 years old. So what's to stop them from another reboot? And I feel like that's probably going to be the next thing. And you can just hope that it's really good of its own and is a genuine fresh start for the franchise.
Absolutely. So Before we get out of here, I will get into what we're going into on our next episode because, as we've said, this film Halloween Ends was the last in the franchise up to date. So next week we will actually on our next episode, which will be the Monday before Halloween, we will be doing our Halloween franchise ranking episode. So Chris and I will be ranking these films from our least favorite to our favorite, from 13 to 1. So that should be an interesting conversation. And I mean, some people listening might even be able to skip to number 12 on Chris's list to where he ranks these films.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
He might rewatch it within that week and change his mind a little bit. Probably not, but
I'm gonna come out with the plot twist, and Halloween Ends is gonna be my number one Halloween movie.
I got my yearly pay that it's not. I will bet that right now.
You're right about that, buddy. You're right about that.
But no, before we get out of here, I want to thank you for joining me on this one, because this one we were both kind of dreading to see like how we were going to talk about it, how we were going to feel about it. From the consensus, we figured we were both going to be kind of negative on it. So as always, thanks for joining me on it.
Yeah, always fun to have the discussion with you for sure.
So again, we have our Halloween franchise ranking episode on our next one. So thanks, Chris. Thanks anyone out there who listens to us. But until next time.
Michael.
He's dead. Not dead enough.
This is not how it works.
It is tonight.